Now, join us from New York for night 43 of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the special Living Judaism edition of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Our guest tonight is a young Jewish man named Harry Jacobs, who is determined to prove to us that he indeed knows his Judaism and can win $1 million. Welcome, Harry.
Thanks, Anna. It's good to be here.
All right, Harry. You know how the game is played. I will ask you a series of 10 questions about a specific Jewish holiday, and hopefully you will be able to answer them all correctly and win $1 million. If at any point you find yourself in doubt, feel free to use one of our 3 lifelines. Ask the rabbi, phone the temple, and break the challah in half. Are you ready? Let's get started. Question number 1. What is Yom Ha'azmaut? A. Israeli Thanksgiving. B. Israeli Christmas. C. Israeli Independence Day. D. Israeli Cinco de Mayo.
That's a pretty easy one. Even though those are some of my favorite holidays, I know it's C, Israeli Independence Day.
Correct. It marks the day of formal establishment of the State of Israel, when the Israeli Declaration of Independence was signed and read. Question number 2. Where and when was Israeli independence declared? A. Tel Aviv in 1948. B. Beijing in 2008. C. New York City in 1929. D. Planet Mars in 2050.
Geez, that's an easy one. Unless it had something to do with the Beijing Olympics in 2008, I'm going to go with A, Tel Aviv. Final
Correct,
answer.
Harry. On May 14, 1948, the members of the newly formed government signed the Declaration of Independence in Tel Aviv. Well done, Harry. Question number 3. When is Yom Ha'azmaut celebrated? A. First rainy day in March. B. The first full moon of the new year. C. The day after the premiere of American Idol. D. The 5th of ER.
Well, you're talking to a huge American Idol fan here, so I know that's not the answer. It's D, the 5th of ER, which is equivalent to May 14th, 1948, on the Hebrew calendar, which is the day the Israeli independence was declared.
That's correct, Harry. Next question. What type of holiday is it? A. Temple holiday. B. Modern holiday. C. Historic holiday. D. Costume holiday.
Well, since it celebrates an event that happened in 1948, I doubt it's a temple holiday. I'm going to go with B, modern holiday. Final answer.
Having only achieved recognized independence in 1948, Yom Ha'azmaut is classified as a modern holiday, with most Jewish communities holding public and non-religious celebrations. As one could guess, in Israel, Yom Ha'azmaut is a national holiday and nearly everyone is off of work. Correct answer. Question number 5. What holiday is it preceded by? A. Yom HaZikaron. B. Halloween. C. New Year's. D. Earth Day.
It's definitely A, Yom HaZikaron, Israeli Memorial Day for fallen soldiers.
Correct. Israelis celebrate those soldiers who died in the War of Independence, as well as other wars, with a ceremony on Mount Herzl in the National Cemetery, followed by raising the Israeli flag at sundown, marking the transition to Yom Ha'azmaut. Next question. What are some activities Israelis do on Yom Ha'azmaut? A. Bungee jumping. B. NASCAR races. C. Fasting. D. Israeli folk dancing and Israeli songs.
Well, maybe some of them go bungee jumping, but if I remember correctly, I saw a lot of singing and dancing in the streets during Yom Ha'azmaut, so D. Final answer.
Israelis celebrate this as a festive day, with hikes and picnics, festivals and fireworks, public shows and concerts, Israeli folk dancing and singing Israeli songs. Many army bases are also open to the public for tours and demonstrations. Also, it marks the day on which the Israel Prize is given, which recognizes individual Israelis for their unique contribution to the country's culture, science, arts, and humanities. Your answer is correct. What special part of the service is recited on Yom Ha'azmaut? A. Halal. B. 3 blind mice. C. Tashlik. D. Pledge of Allegiance.
I believe the chief rabbinate of Israel declared that halal should be recited as part of the Yom Ha'azmaut service, so I'm going to go with A, final answer.
The chief rabbinate of Israel, the Orthodox rabbis, who are Israel's religious authority, have created several different versions of services that are to be recited on Yom Ha'azmaut. There still exists a debate over the recitation of Hallel, the portion of Psalms recited on most religious holidays, but the Hallel is the correct answer in this case. Well done, Harry. Next question. What is special about the religious traditions of this holiday? A. 24 hours of straight prayer. B. Eating only fruits and vegetables. C. There is no set tradition yet. D. Spending the night in a temple.
Well, I know it's not eating only fruits and vegetables since my family and I love to have picnics and barbecues, and we're certainly not vegetarians. And I don't know many people that could pray for 24 straight hours, or would even want to spend the night in a temple. So I guess that leaves C. There is no set tradition yet.
That's correct. The chief rabbinate of Israel has given many different ideas of how the religious observation of Yom Ha'azmaut should go. However, there is no widespread agreement amongst all Jews about a set religious tradition yet. Question number 9. Which religious movement believes that the chief rabbinate did not place enough religious importance on the holiday? A. Scientologists. B. Buddhists. C. Reform Judaism. D. Orthodox kibbutz movement.
Well, I know Tom Cruise personally, and I'm pretty sure I can rule out Scientology. And when the Dalai Lama came to Colgate last year, he didn't mention the chief rabbinate, so I think that eliminates answer B. I'm pretty sure it's the Orthodox kibbutz movement, since they find so important the connections to Zionism and the foundation of the State of Israel. So D, final answer.
Well, some religious movements, such as the religious kibbutz movement, who represent a more Zionistic view, believe that the chief rabbinate did not place enough religious importance on the holiday, and have since created their own prayer books with a modified prayer service for this day. Your answer is correct. Last question, Harry. This could be a tricky one. Question number 10. How will Yom Ha'azmaut be celebrated in 50 years? A. Not yet determined. B. Answer A. C. Answer B. D. Answer C.
That's a tough one. But since there isn't really an established tradition yet, either for secular or religious observation, I would have to go with answer A. Who knows how we will celebrate Yom Ha'azmaut in 50 years, what customs, traditions, or religious observations we will practice. All we know is that this holiday is currently adapting, and it's still an important part of Jewish and Israeli tradition.
Your answer is correct, Harry. So are all the other ones, though. We wanted to make this one easier on you since you've been doing so well throughout the show. Congratulations, Harry. You've just won $1 million and proved that you are living Judaism successfully. Hopefully, our viewers were able to learn from you about Yom Ha'azmaut so they could also try out in our show one day. See you all next week in a new edition of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?